Hi and welcome to tonight's Facebook Live, where we're going to continue from the conversation that we had on Monday. At the end of Monday's Facebook Live, we'd been talking about global events and their impact. And Tandaway asked if she could talk about Zambia. Wow, hi Tracy, Marianne, Pia, Orla, Sonia. Nice to have you with me again. Hi Anita. Tandaway is concerned because of the constitutional situation that's occurring in Zambia as well. So we've now got a few places around the world where constitutional issues are having an impact. Hi Clara and hi Marianne and Haresh and Pia. Constitutional issues are interesting because basically they're talking about the will of the people, and yet when it's a constitutional crisis with the public versus the government, it seems as though either the people haven't been talking to their representatives to represent them, or the representatives think they know best what to do for the people that they govern. They've been elected, so now they have a much greater wisdom or bigger picture, and in some cases that's true. Hi Cynthia, hi Elaine. We have a choice. We can take it personally, or we can step back and we can work with the tools that we've been given spiritually. The choices we make when we encounter something that we don't like, that upsets us, that triggers a reaction within us, are choices that are made for our soul journey, not for the situation that's creating the trigger. I'm going to clarify that in a moment. We are here for a purpose. We all have a purpose. If we have developed our connection, if we listen to spirit and not our mind, then everything we do will be a means to achieve that purpose. If we listen to our minds, we'll take sides, we'll be emotionally affected, we'll stir the energy. There's a variety of choices that come from that. So basically, when you see something occurring that you're not happy about, stop and ask yourself, do you wish to respond from your heart, spiritually? Do you wish to respond from your head at a personality level? And just taking that moment to stop and ask yourself that question takes you out of the energy that stirred you and allowed you to see what you can do that's effective, that's not emotional. And so then we become a stone. We become the stone in the pond of our world, and the ripples go out. Sarupa, I can't read all of your message, I'm sorry. I still don't know how to get the see more to open up for me. But the point I'm trying to make is this: when we're in challenging times, it's about being open to the tools that are available to us. And if you have tools available to you, use them. No point having them if you don't use them. Hi Yumiko, hi Tanya, hi Tandaway. Those of you who've worked with me over the years have been given a toolbox full of tools. So in any situation, in every situation, you already have a tool that can help you to step out of the emotion, the fear, the judgment, the attitude that's being triggered within you, and look at what's the significance of what's happening in here and what's my role within it. Hi Crystal, nice to see you here. You know, we talk about being successful. Success means many things to many people, and so does spirituality. We all have our own interpretation of what it means to be spiritual, and whether some people are spiritual or not, when in fact we're all spiritual. But we have choices. If you see something that you don't like, you have a choice to react, or you have a choice to understand what is being stirred within you that you can change, that will then change the energy. Because if you're being stirred up, the thoughts you're sending out, the emotions that are coming off you in waves, add to the energy of disturbance that you're not happy about. And so as a consequence, you become part of it, even while you hope you won't. My question is, do you choose to stand in fear and worry? Or do you choose to be a beacon of light in the midst of the darkness? Do you see the opportunities rather than see the judgments and the fears? If we don't like what's happening, before we go charging off trying to change it, being the cavalry coming over the hill, the knight on the charger, racing into battle, stop and look at why. What is it within you that's being activated? And what spiritual tool do you already have that can help you to see beyond whatever mindset you're in, beyond whatever emotional disturbance is being triggered, to see the significance for you of why you're being challenged? Because once you address that, your energy settles. You become peaceful. And that's what you radiate into the world. However, if we believe we have to settle for what we get, we never look within. We don't look within because if we're settling and we look within, we might feel inferior. We might feel disappointed. We might feel helpless. And by nature, we don't like to feel uncomfortable. When we meditate on a situation, there's no judgment. So in understanding through meditation what the situation is and how we feel about it on inner levels, we can move through it and be a force for light in the world and not be absent or add to the energy. I don't know if any of you have got any questions, and I don't know, Tandaway, if you heard what I was saying at the beginning, because you did ask about the legal situation with the constitution in Zambia. You know, if there are enough of you that are concerned about what's happening, come together as a group. Not necessarily to march, although in some cases that's the only option, but come together as a group to discuss what you're seeing, what it is about it that troubles you, and how that reflects something within you that perhaps your soul is saying you're now ready to address and move beyond. Since Monday night, the situation in Hong Kong has shifted. The bill that's created all the tension has been withdrawn. It hasn't, however, soothed the tension. A fear was activated by talking of that bill, and that fear hasn't been addressed. The people don't feel reassured. At least that's my understanding, and those of you who live in Hong Kong can perhaps correct me if I'm wrong. The hurricane that was sitting over the Bahamas lost some of its intensity and moved off towards the coast. It's actually making landing now, but it's picked up speed again. Even as I'm sitting here doing this Facebook Live, we have very strong gale force winds blowing outside, They suddenly came in about 5 p.m. So there's a lot of mental activity in the world. There's a lot being stirred. And the more that we worry, the more we feed it. And the more that we stop looking at the appearance of things and ask ourselves what the significance is for us and for those around us, the more effective we can become as agents for change and as role models and leaders for people. Thank you for confirming that, Haresh, about Hong Kong. I appreciate it. Does anybody have a question before I give you just a few tips? If any of you would like to ask anything, please do so. Because basically tonight's about, Monday night we talked about the big picture. Tonight's about the little picture, as in us, who we are. And we're not helpless, we're not powerless, we're not incapable. One person can make a big difference, like a pebble dropped into a pond. The ripples go out and out and out. But also, if we come together in groups of love, not vigilante, groups of light, not fear and shadow, then we automatically empower the energy that goes out into the world to bring more balance to what's happening. Taking sides isn't going to do that for us. Doesn't look like anybody's got a question, so I'll just carry on. Here's a few tips that I think, for me, it's what made the difference for me. When I first started to look at following a spiritual path, I started to meditate first. The more I meditated, the more I felt that there was more that I could do and that I wanted to help people. So at that point, I made a commitment to my spiritual path. I didn't commit to being a spiritual teacher, leader, anything like that. At that point, I simply committed to my path, and that I would try to live that to the best of my ability. Knowing that because we're human, there are times that we fall over and it doesn't work. But that's okay, because then you pick yourself up and you learn and you keep moving forward. So commitment to the path was important. And what I would say to you is, stop and ask yourself, what kind of path do you want to tread? I know some of you are confused about what it is to walk a spiritual path. And for me, walking a spiritual path is choosing to be the best that I can be and to share that with people. It's not about competition. It's not about comparisons. It's about collaboration, and it's about community. And if there's a willingness to create a community, then we can change the world. The second thing is, as I said, to meditate, because the more that we meditate, the more we bring our own mental, emotional energies into alignment with our soul and our heart. Elaine has asked, can we invite anyone who feels fear be brought to the group to discuss and let go? Why discuss the fear? Discuss the significance. If you discuss the fear, you build the energy of fear. But if there is someone who is fearful and doesn't know what to do, then of course you invite them. But you don't invite them to discuss their fear. You invite them to look at the significance of what's happening and what their choices are. Because with every situation, no matter how bad it appears, there's always a gift. There's always something we can learn and we can grow from, we can develop. Growth is what this is all about. So, yes, bring them, of course, to any group. Create a group where you can sit and discuss events, but not discuss the fear of the events. So for Tandiwe in Zambia, coming together as a group to talk about what the constitutional crisis is about, from the perspective of, well, this is how it appears, what's the significance, and how can we learn from it to be able to bring something forward that might bring about change. And how does it change how we see ourselves in the process? Because that's what it's about. How does it change how we see ourselves in the process? And he says it seems we need to be AAA, awake, alert and aware, so as to hold the light, not fall into it or ignore it. That's true. We always know when we're in denial because we don't feel comfortable inside. We know when we're not standing in light because we start to feel guilty, or we feel we could do more. We always know. We just tell ourselves we don't. So perhaps the next tip is to walk your talk. Don't tell people to do something if you're not doing it. If you're doing it, great. Because then you can say that in doing this particular step, this is what you've learned, this is what you've discovered. If you say, I do this, it's about you. If you say, by doing this, I've learned this, it's about your growth and your sharing of that growth with somebody else. It's not about ego. So walking our talk is really important. And perhaps the thing that most people forget, there's a lot going on in the world about being grateful. A lot of you know that I don't subscribe to gratitude, because for me, gratitude is about not quite being equal. If you have to be grateful, then there's an element of being less than. For me, it's about being thankful. You don't say to somebody, gratitude to you. Well, some of you may, but it's a bit clumsy. But you will say thank you. And a simple thank you can make a big difference. However, what I'm talking about is taking time to look at everything in your life for which you're thankful. No matter how bad things can be for us, there's always someone whose life isn't as happy, as fulfilled, as joyful, or as successful as ours is. That doesn't make us better than that person. But it does give us an opportunity to be thankful for the fact that we are where we are, and that from that place, we can then go out and help other people. So being thankful, counting the blessings was the way it used to be said. Count your blessings. Because when we count our blessings, we forget to worry. We forget to fear what might happen because we're too busy seeing what's happened that's really good that perhaps we might have missed in the moment. If you want to not just live in a challenging world, but be an opportunity for change in that world, if you want to leave it better than when you arrived, developing your spiritual connection and allowing that connection to guide your actions is going to be the best gift you can leave behind when you leave. We all have things that challenge us. We can look at the challenges and we can bemoan our fate, or we can look at the things that flow and be thankful. And in being thankful, those thoughts and that emotional energy go out into our world to balance the stirring energy of change that we are all going through at the moment. It's a crucial time of change. And it's important that we cooperate with change, not fight it. So thank you for being here. I'm actually going to do another one of these on Saturday. So if any of you would like to join me instead of going out and having a good time with family and friends somewhere else, I'd love to meet up with you again. and perhaps we can talk about this in a bit more detail. Thank you very much for being with us. Good night.